The biggest mistake that you can make is thinking that this is the key to being productive even when you're tired. Wrong. You're not alone in mistakenly thinking this, because I was there too. Whether you're trying to work on your side hustle after a long day at work, or you're a student that needs to revise for that test after a long day at school, you're going to want to listen to this, because this is the 3-step ultimate guide on how to be productive even if you're tired. As always, the timestamps are down below and they're on screen, but let's get right into it. Now, the first mistake that I can almost guarantee you're making if you clicked on this video is that you'll miss using caffeine. It's not that you don't want to be using it at all. In fact, it's one of the most effective tools you can use if you want to be productive even when you're tired. But there are a couple of easy changes that you can make to start using caffeine properly. Now, the very first thing that you need to be doing is to stop drinking this. I mean, look at the ingredients list. I have no idea what half this stuff is. The thing is, you want to be focusing on getting high quality, good caffeine. So none of this monster, and especially none of this whimsical nonsense like triple caramel macchiatos with whipped cream. No. Now, next up, when you're drinking your tea or coffee, make sure that you are waiting at least an hour, preferably an hour and a half, before you drink that first bit of caffeine in the morning. That's because it takes at least 60 minutes in the morning for our brain to wake up. And you want to be waiting for this amount of time before you take your first drink of caffeine, because by this point, your kind of natural energy levels and your cortisol levels in your body have decreased. So at that point, it's necessary to kind of top up your energy level. The second point is that after you get past around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you want to stop drinking tea and coffee. In fact, caffeine at this point is not the answer. Thing is, if you start drinking caffeine this late in the day, it's just going to completely mess up your sleeping pattern. And it's just going to send you into this kind of pitiful cycle of tiredness that you can't actually escape from. Instead, at this point, it's probably true that you're not drinking enough water. So when it hits like 4 or 5 o'clock at night and you're still really tired, instead of reaching for that cup of coffee, try and down at least a litre of water. Now, this might sound like a lot, but I think the more water you can get in your body, just the healthier you feel and the more energy you have. Now, the second thing on how we can actually boost our productivity even when we're tired is by kind of controlling the environment that we're in. Now, the quality of your environment dictates the quality of your work, and actually your brain has a huge factor in making a connection between a particular emotion and a particular place. And the sooner you realize this, the sooner you can start to work on controlling your emotions and actually controlling how tired you feel. Now, I don't care what anybody says, there is no way that you can work on your bed. Your brain is hardwired to know that that's the place that you go to sleep. That's not the place that you'd go to do any sort of deep work. So it might be that you're feeling tired because you don't have a specific place to do that kind of work, to do your tasks for the day. And this is a really easy fix, right? All you want to do is pick a location that you have easy access to that is going to be the place where you do your work. Ideally, this is away from your bedroom and away from the place that you want to kind of rest and relax, but I appreciate that's not going to be possible for all of you. So just try and pick the most logical place that will work for you. And the second thing that you can do is you can actually make your environment work for you. And there's some really obvious things, like if you're trying to edit a video or if you're trying to study for a test, you don't want your phone anywhere near you. In fact, it's way better just to put it on Do Not Disturb and put it in a separate room. But if you're thinking at this point, okay, that's a pretty obvious tip, then have you considered playing around with sound and thinking about how sound can actually affect your energy levels? So I know for me that when I'm doing my work, I like to put on my AirPods and put the noise cancelling mode on. For me, I find that I work best in almost complete silence, but I've tried lots and lots of different things. Now, the first thing that you can do when you're playing around with sound is put on either brown noise or white noise. Basically, this is kind of a droning kind of sound at a particular frequency that can help you kind of get into that kind of focus mode. Now, if you're trying to find this type of sound, there's loads of options for you. You've got YouTube, I mean, there's so many playlists there, but also you can use like Spotify and Apple Music. Just search for brown noise or white noise and see how you get on. Alternatively, if you don't like that noise and you don't want to work in silence, you can literally just put on some background noise from, I don't know, your favorite movies or your favorite TV shows. The only thing I'll say for this is that I find it's best when you use things without lyrics, just because then your brain's not getting confused between the words that you might be reading on your laptop and the words that you're kind of listening to in the background. Now, the final thing that you can do if you are still tired is you can actually change the environment. The thing is, the place that I do most of my work from actually isn't my desk. Instead, it's a local coffee shop literally around the corner. And I find that by changing up my location as many times as possible in the day, now my brain constantly searching for that energy to keep me going. Now, the third and final part of this guide is kind of all to do with mindset. And I really want you to ask yourself, are you being productive or are you just being busy? The thing is, it's really easy to get motivated about the fun things that we're excited about doing, even if we're tired. So I know that if I get to edit a video, it doesn't really matter if I'm feeling a little bit tired, feeling a little bit fatigued, because I want to do that thing. Whereas on the flip side, if I've got a test coming up and I know I have to study for it, especially if it's something that I'm not interested in, then it doesn't matter how tired I am, I'm just not going to want to do it. Most people make this exact same mistake, regardless of whether you like the task you're doing or you don't. And it's like you're spending the wrong amount of time on things. Now, what I'm about to say might upset a lot of you, but whilst we can do things like change our environment or look at how we're using caffeine, energy isn't something that we can have an unlimited amount of. I love the 80-20 rule. I've spoken about this loads of times on the channel before, but it's basically this idea that 20% of the stuff you're doing right now is responsible for most of, well, 80% of the outcomes and the results that you get. In other words, it's really easy to get carried away, spending loads of time and putting loads of energy into something we're passionate about, just to see a marginal difference. And then from that, we don't have enough energy to spare for the stuff that we don't really want to do. This is especially true when we have a load of deadlines coming up or a long list of tasks that we need to get done. So instead, what you need to do is ask yourself if the actions you're doing are actually necessary if you want to achieve the goal. Oftentimes, it's better to complete everything you have to do at like 80-85% quality than complete only half of the stuff you have to do, but make sure it's like 99% perfect. And the main takeaway from this point is that we want to conserve that energy so that we can distribute it as equally as possible between the things we have to get done. But of course, if you don't like something and it's not giving you any benefit and you don't actually have to do it, then just ask yourself, why on earth is it on your to-do list anyway? And there's one more thing before I forget. If you're really tired and you're really struggling with a task that you have to do and the deadline is the next day, then I found that 99 times out of 100, it's always better to sleep on it and just wake up an hour earlier to get the task done. Parkinson's law basically dictates that you'll still get the work done in an hour in the morning versus, let's say, 7 hours overnight if you pulled an all-nighter. And in this case, it is so much better just to get a good amount of sleep than to spend the extra 6 hours working towards your project. But if you still feel like you struggle with the discipline to stick with your tasks and motivate yourself to get things done, then check out this video where I talk about how to use crash lists, which are quite possibly the most stupidly easy way to be disciplined. Before you go, make sure you subscribe to the channel. That way you'll be notified every time we release a new video, which are going to help you waste less time and have more time to spend on the things that you love doing. So I'll see you all on the next video.